This video is sponsored in part by evokestudio.io.
I decided to fall off my motorcycle at the racetrack, so while my shoulder is healing, I get to fix my handlebars, plastics, and other bits and pieces that I busted up while I contemplate why I didn't buy the airbag before I had the accident. In the pursuit of science. Forward stay is bent. Missing a front mirror. Front fairings are shot. Headlights still work. Fairings all the way around are getting replaced. A little scratching down here on the exhaust. We can check this guy here and make sure it's not bent. And while we're here, we can go ahead and install that pressure sensor for my rear brake light. I went down at about 40 miles an hour. The main impact was on this Woodcraft handlebar and on this fairing stay up front here. It did not damage or bend the clamp or the riser side mount. This bar is supposed to be straight right here. Swap that part out for the new one, and that one's good to go. Level the camera to the handlebars. You can see the forward stay is pretty bent. I'm gonna go ahead and return the bike back to its stock spring. The previous owner had a Ninja 650 shock put on it, and it's a little bit stiff of a spring for my weight. The front springs were changed out to up to a 220 pound rider, and so I ordered up some spring rates that are more appropriate for my weight. All right, that's about as far as I can take it for tonight. Got the fairings off, and this right fork got a little bit twisted, so I had to loosen these two nuts here on the lower triple and sort of straighten this front wheel out. And tomorrow I'll get back to it and probably get to this stay. No rush. My shoulder's not going to heal any faster when I do this. The forward stay over here was pretty straightforward. Took the old one off, put the other one back on. A few brackets needed to be tweaked or bent a little bit. Looks like the old super glue the nipples back on. Not those nipples, these nipples. It's gonna work out all right. They don't really know how to hide these screws. While I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and install this LED light and see how it goes. It's got its own little fan, so you know it's better. Obviously. Totally does not look like it's supposed to work like this. Let's see if we can break it. The one on the left is the LED, and the one on the right is the original halogen light. It's that sweet ass fan running. The original owner of this bike gave that to me when I bought the bike. I'll have to look it up to see about getting another one for the piping. Talking about this rear shock. This is a Ninja 650 rear shock that mounts right up to this bike, and it's just a little bit heavier spring and a little bit better rebound. Going back to stock because it's more appropriate to my weight, my height, to get the geometry of the bike back to a baseline that I can start working from. This shock was about 1.5 inches, 2 inches high from the original one, so I thought I could put this lowering link on here and drop it back to a stock height, which I think I got pretty close to. However, I don't like how it protrudes into the wheel well, and it also, at full extension of the shock, hits the exhaust, and it doesn't allow for this swing arm to swing down as far as it could possibly go without that there. Got the rear shock installed, back tire back on, everything's set up. I think we're looking pretty good. Hopefully our parts are going to be coming in, our plastics and stuff will be coming in soon, and we can get going on that. on the topic of airbags, I did order 3 airbags. I got 1 for myself and 2 for my loved ones. I also got some compression shorts that are armored and slide rated up to AA, but we'll talk more about that later. I'm going to make a full separate video on my airbag journey, but in general, using Alpine Star as a sample, we've got pretty much full race and occasional street. It has pretty aggressive back armor, and this is to be worn underneath something like a leather suit. Then you have a Tech Air 7, which is basically the top half of a 10, aggressive street and track. This is a Malcolm in the middle for street and off-road use. Tech Air 5, which is Malcolm in the middle for street riding and occasional track riding. And this does need to be worn underneath a garment. This is by Revit, and this is a Tech Air 5 vest in a Revit designed housing. This also has to be worn underneath, but it's Tech Air 5 with some Revit design as far as the outer shell goes. But we'll talk about that in a future video. We have Hurricane Ellen coming through here right now, so my working space is kind of cramped because, well, my house is turned upside down because of generators and gas cans and whatnot. But go ahead and take the opportunity to put new brake fluid in the back line here. While I'm doing it, I'm going to be able to install this new pressure sensor. As you put pressure into the system, it actuates a switch, I'm assuming inside of this unit here, sends a signal to the bike. This is really common whenever you put rear sets on. They don't have the appropriate bracket for the original OEM spring switch. So when I bought this bike, it didn't have a back brake switch on it, so now it does. While we're waiting for this hurricane to pass and some more parts to come in, I went ahead and put some new brake fluid on the front end here. I don't know how old the brake fluid was. It could be a few years old. My experience tells me that you're basically trying to fight water from accumulating inside these fluids. I saw somebody do their brake fluid change and then squeeze their handbrake and hold that overnight to help squeeze out any extra bubbles. I don't know if it's true or not, but it can't hurt. Storm's probably going to get a little bit worse here in a few hours, but we're only gusting up to about 50 miles an hour here inland here in Fort Myers, Florida. So hopefully I got all my hurricane stuff out for nothing. Looks like this kit did come with some hardware and a smoke screen. I think I can see 10% through that. Nose piece looks really beautiful on the hands. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's the difference in the blue. It's hard to tell, isn't it? I'll see if I can get a shot without reflection in it. New one is here, and this is the OEM. So the blue, I don't know if you can tell on the camera, on the new one is a little bit lighter. They said on the website that it wouldn't match up perfectly, so I'm not surprised or disappointed. The OEM one is black inside. The centerpiece of the gas tank painted black. The black plastic pieces are not painted. They just look like they come straight from the factory. There's the gas tank, obviously, the side of the gas tank. Again, both of the blues are actually lovely and nice. I don't hate the new lighter blue. Like even on these little nubbins, they stuck some of that material they used to help block heat. They also sent with the device and just kind of stuck it over everything. First impressions, packaging is a 9 out of 10. Very well done. Looks like it came with all the black plastic pieces, the filler pieces, and they look good. The quality of the paint, I would say, is about an 8 out of 10. And the quality of the plastics are about an 8 out of 10 on the first impressions. I have a feeling these fairings came off a lot easier than they're gonna go on. Hey, Future Mike here. At the end of the video, I'm going to go through and give you my thoughts and opinions and a little bit more detail on everything I went through on this bike, so I'll get you more usable information at the end. Well, I have to say I'm having a tough time finishing this video up. Looks like we have yet another hurricane coming. It's 2 hurricanes in 2 weeks. We got Melvin hitting us here soon. So we're gonna get our generators out, gas prepped again, amongst all the other things that we have to do for a hurricane. If you've been through one, you know what I'm talking about. I know what you're asking yourself, Mike, how are you staying so calm? I'm just built different. And sometimes I cry myself to sleep. These are the original blue rims that go on the bike. They still have the stock tires on them. I prefer the blue on the bike, but those tires are better on the orange rims, so the struggle is real. Not gonna lie, I kind of want to go for a ride in this hurricane. Not sure if I have a doctor's note for that yet. After I don't die from this hurricane, I'll come back to this video, share some more details on my experience. I did get a chance to install the K-Tech high performance springs, more appropriate to my weight, to also join with that circuit or that valve in there. The install went fine. I was going to make a more detailed video on this because there's not good footage out there for this kind of stuff, or specifically for this brand, in my opinion. But the hurricane just proved to be too much for me to try to pull it off. And this is what I ordered from Amazon to be able to adjust my spring tension. And it doesn't fit, so fuck me. While I installed this, I changed out most of the fluid. I put 30 weight in there, and there was 10. So I would probably say it's probably around 25 weight because I didn't get all the old fluid out. But I did top it off to the appropriate height. And took it for a test ride, and it felt amazing. Between the appropriate rear spring and the appropriate front shock, it's a completely different bike. No, not this bike. But anytime you can throw a Hanagram in a video. While we're up front here, I'll go ahead and talk about these mirrors. These were $30 options off of Amazon, and they're about 80% of what the OEM mirrors were, so I'm pretty happy with that, and those are good to go. I did have deletes on the front of here, which is great for the track, but on the street, not so awesome, because I don't have eyes in the back of my head. They do articulate like the original one, so meaning when you push them down, they can do stuff like that. So that's just like the original ones. If you have the OEMs, you'll be familiar with that. Starting with the front fender here, it looks good. It's a little lighter density than the original one, and some of the lettering or texting might be at a different size, but the font is the same. It's pretty close. Moving on to the front nose piece here. This graphic is a little bit smaller, but unless you compared them side by side, you wouldn't really notice. So pretty close to the OEM. And I'll show you a color comparison once again. I'm gonna go ahead and gray card my camera here so we have some accurate colors. So as you can see here, we've got this deeper purple based blue, and this almost has a turquoise base to it. I don't know, I'm not a colorologist. Went with the $15 to $20 LED blinkers off of Amazon, Chinesium. They did directly plug right into the original wiring harness. This piece on the OEM was a gloss black, and this was a flat black. So if you have a preference, you can swap out and keep whichever one is your favorite one. Just know that that's the difference with this particular kit. And the sticker work, as far as at a glance, matches up pretty close. In regard to the tank, there's a sub-tank underneath these plastics or these fairings that go around it. I replaced the 2 side pieces, but I kept the middle black one because it had this super cool tank guard on it. Also, I'll show you here, this emblem right here on the original is more of a raised plastic one, and on the kit that gets sent with it is more of just a plain old sticker. So it looks great at a glance, but not quite as nice. Again, about a B+ replacement. Also, another note, this piece on the OEM right here, this little back piece right here is black. The kit that shipped from this company is blue. So you have a choice to keep the black one or the blue one if you still have the original piece. Closing, in regards to the fairing kit, I ordered it offline from the company. It was pretty easy drop-down menu information. I like that. It was really clear. It did come with a hardware kit. However, the hardware kit is more of a, if you don't have the original kit or you're missing a few parts from the original hardware, you can get by and wing it, but it's not like an OEM replacement kit for this specific bike. It's more of a generic one. So you're gonna wanna keep all of your original hardware and reuse as much of that as possible. In fact, I started taking this bike apart a week or two before I got the replacement fairings, and I regret that. So my recommendation is to you is to take one piece off at a time so you can put it back together one piece at a time, swapping over the original hardware and putting it back on, because it's a lot more complicated to put these fairings on a bike if you don't do it in real time. They emailed me right away saying they received my order within 1 or 2 days, and their email had a picture of what I ordered just to confirm that there were no mistakes on which bike, which color, which design. About a week or two after that, they sent me a picture of my actual painted fairings, and then I confirmed they looked good and I was happy with them, and then they shipped it out. It took about a week to get to California, and then about a week to get to California to Florida, here where I live. So all in all, by the time I hit pay and through the correspondence of email and receiving this item was about a month. Communication was good. I actually went through another hurricane while this was happening, and I lost the tracking information. I emailed them back. They responded right away with the tracking information. So communication was good on the company. The durability of the paint is a little bit less than the OEM, so if I drop a tool on it, it's more likely to scratch, right? The color's not an exact match, and there are a few imperfections in the paint, but at a glance, you're never going to notice it. Everybody walks by the bike and says, wow, this thing looks amazing, Mike. So it does look good. So I'll get a few more shots of this camera while it's color balanced, so you get a pretty good representation of the color and the look of it. So let's do that now. You'll be happy to know that I still have not washed the bike. So fuck you guys. I went through 2 hurricanes in the last 2 weeks. And so that's some real love for you there. Hopefully that's helpful. The actual brake system with bleeding the brakes and hooking up that pressure sensor to give me a back brake signal when I hit this guy here went pretty well. I think I'm going to probably take these 2 leads off right here and shrink wrap that up right here so it looks a little cleaner and maybe protect it from some of the elements. So that'll be nice. I also found a good website to help with each section of this bike as far as putting fairings on. I'll leave that link below by the like button, so check that out. Thanks for hanging out here with me at the channel. This is probably the most chopped up and hacked up video I've ever made in my entire life. I hope you still got some value out of it. Subscribe, and hope to see you back soon. See ya.